We all know that childhood shapes us in many ways, but did you know it can also influence how we show up in relationships? Whether you had a loving home or a challenging one, your early experiences can affect the way you love as an adult. In today's video, we'll dive into 8 signs that your childhood may be impacting your love style. Let's get into it. 1. You have difficulty trusting others. If trust was something you had to constantly worry about as a child, it might affect how you approach trust in relationships now. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where people were unreliable, or maybe there was a lot of secrecy. As an adult, you might find it hard to let your guard down and truly trust someone, even when they've earned it. If this sounds like you, it could be a sign your childhood experiences are affecting your ability to form secure attachments. 2. You crave constant validation. Did you often feel overlooked or neglected as a child? If so, you might now find yourself constantly seeking validation from your partner. You might struggle with feeling good enough or worry about rejection. Growing up in a situation where your worth wasn't consistently acknowledged can lead to a deep need for reassurance in relationships. If you feel you need to be constantly praised or reminded of your value, that could be your childhood experiences showing up in your love life. 3. You struggle with emotional intimacy. Some children learn to shut off their emotions because their feelings weren't understood or validated. If this sounds like your childhood, you might now find it difficult to open up emotionally to others. You may avoid deep conversations or feel uncomfortable being vulnerable. This can lead to emotional distance in your relationships, as you're not sure how to fully connect with someone on that deeper level. 4. You tend to overcompensate in relationships. Maybe you grew up feeling like you had to earn love, or perhaps affection was conditional. As a result, you might overcompensate by giving too much in relationships. You may take on the role of caretaker or do everything you can to make sure your partner is happy, often at the expense of your own needs. This pattern often stems from trying to prove that you're worthy of love and affection. 5. You find it hard to let go of toxic relationships. Did you witness unhealthy dynamics in your childhood? Whether it was a parent staying in an unhappy relationship or a lack of boundaries in your family, you might find yourself staying in toxic relationships as an adult. You might tell yourself things will get better or that you can change the person, despite the red flags. These learned behaviors can make it hard to walk away from relationships that are not serving your emotional health. 6. You fear abandonment. If your childhood was marked by inconsistent care or if you experienced neglect, it's no surprise you might have a deep fear of abandonment now. You may worry that your partner will leave, even if there's no reason to believe they will. This fear can lead to clinginess or jealousy, as you're constantly trying to secure the love and connection you didn't always have growing up. 7. You have a strong need for independence. Sometimes, growing up in an environment where you had to fend for yourself or navigate emotional needs alone can lead to a deep desire for independence. As an adult, you might prioritize your freedom and struggle to rely on anyone, even in relationships. While independence is healthy, an excessive need for it can make intimacy and closeness difficult to cultivate. 8. You often repeat patterns from your past. Finally, if you find yourself repeatedly dating the same type of person or engaging in similar toxic patterns, it might be a reflection of your childhood experiences. Our minds often recreate what feels familiar, even if it's not healthy. This can mean choosing partners who replicate the behaviors you grew up with, because it feels like the only kind of love you know. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward breaking free and finding healthier connections. Our childhood experiences can deeply influence how we approach love, but the good news is, recognizing these signs can help us change. If you notice any of these patterns in your own love life, it might be time to reflect and work on healing those childhood wounds. Thanks for watching, and if you've noticed any of these signs in yourself, don't be too hard on yourself, it's all part of the journey. Remember, love starts with self-awareness.